because it is such a bad roster. And they do have a couple of building blocks, like we said, a couple of tent poles, but really that's it. They just have the poles. They don't even have the tent. So that's a major undertaking, and that's the one thing that I'm a little bit worried about. Mike Vrabel and his personality, I think, can be a good thing if you're looking at a good, mediocre to good team. If you have a bad team, if you have a team that cannot figure it out, that can't sort of get out of its own way, doesn't have enough talent to really compete at the NFL level like this last 2 years, and you bring in a guy like Vrabel with that kind of personality, with that kind of in your face, and I can see the frustration boiling over. I could see that being a problem in the locker room, potentially. Now, if they fix the roster and they bring in more talent, and all of a sudden it looks like you got, you're not exactly what you had in Tennessee, but something akin to a Derrick Henry or DeAndre Hopkins when he was out there. Even like Robert Woods when he was playing for Tennessee was pretty good back then. Like Byard and some of the Wesley Woodyard, like they had players. If you can get yourself to that point with the roster, then I'd feel a lot better about Mike Vrabel. But I feel a little bit like it's going to be the same lousy roster. And now here you have this tough guy coach who's going to go in there, and maybe guys like Gonzalez, guys like Drake May, I don't know how they're going to take that.
So I definitely have questions about his relationship with Drake May.
Yeah.
And he tiptoed into it. He kind of said he talked to him, but then he's like, I've talked to a lot of players. I'm not going to get into details, whatever. I think there's a question as to how he had this year, his coaches were Gerard Mayo and Alex Van Pelt. Nice guys. Certainly, no matter what, you have to say they're nice guys, right? Mac Brown, I don't think is a hardo. Is Mac Brown a hardo? He's like in a grandpa more.
Mac Brown was an old, right?
Like a grandpa.
I don't know what he was like, but he was an old guy, yeah.
Yeah, I don't get this is going to be a change for Drake May to a hardo coach. And I know Mike said he'll not that he's going to be hands off, but it'll be more game day and situational. Right. He'll have position coaches and all that. But I think that relationship is going to matter. But beyond that, when you bring up roster with Mike Vrabel, do you think he has a philosophy that may be born in some of what we saw in Tennessee?
Yes.
So you think it's going to be...
I think he's going to try and build out through the trenches. I think that's where it's going to start.
Run game.
And for all the talk of, Vrabel, he's going to go with what your strengths are. Because when he took over Tennessee, they
have none.
Well, I know it's true. But when he took over Tennessee, they weren't a bad team like the Patriots are a bad team. When he took over Tennessee, I think they were 9-7. They might have made the playoffs the year before. So they weren't they fired their coach, obviously, but they weren't some dead-end team that was flat on its back, looking to try and start over and gut everything and bring themselves back to respectability. They were respectable, I think, right? Am I right? Were they 9-7?
9-7 under Malarkey.
And made the playoffs?
And lost in the division round.
Okay, so they were a playoff team when he took them over. He's not taking over a playoff team this time.
And then he went 9-7. Then he went 9-7. Then he went 11-5 and 12-5. So
right.
He kept the same. Malarkey's last 2 years, he was 9-7, and then Vrabel's first 2 years, he was 9-7.
So he's going to have to do better than that.
He took over a 9-7 football team. Is pretty clear to say, right?
Yeah.
Didn't matter who coached them; they were 9-7.
Right, but he's going to have to do better than the same record the first 2 years when you take over a team that's 4-13. Is the point?
Yeah,
you can't. It's like you need to have improvement right away.
Unless, this is where I told you I thought even for Ben Johnson, this was a job that could be appealing. Because I don't think there's a huge teardown. Mm-hmm. I think this team has bottomed out. I think you know what I mean? It's a blank canvas. Yeah. You can start moving forward. That's why I think, A, they're guaranteed to have better coaching next year, and B, they're guaranteed to have a better roster. Because I don't think the roster is very good. I don't think it'll be hard to make the roster. Hell, last offseason, their whole roster plan was retaining some of their guys.
Right.
They didn't really add much. So I just think automatically you're going to be a better roster next year. But
I don't know if they're going to add much this year either.
Oh, they will. You can't spend $130 million without adding much.
Yeah, I agree.
And if you do, then blow it up again.
You're going out there into free agency, and all of a sudden you're going on this big spending spree, and I just thought it seems like, and maybe this is the year that after it reset, you had 2021, we had this big spending spree, and we had to reset the cap after 3 years. Now here you are again. It's 2025. Maybe it's back into the spending pool. But even then, what did that give you? That gave you 10 wins with Mac Jones, and then you crapped right back out again after that. So, I think even a big spending spree 1 year where you spend on a lot of different guys and all that, that'll give you a bump for a year. But if it's all free agents and you're still not drafting well, then, you still have that kind of hollow skeleton of a team.
And part of my expectation that you're better is that you take somebody with the 4th pick who's good, who plays. You can't use the 4th pick, or if you trade down a little bit, you can't take a top 10 pick on a guy that doesn't play.
Yeah.
You can't. They do not have any room for error in that way. And that's where I went back to the Tennessee drafting, where they missed on some first-round picks that they didn't get return on that investment. And then if you do that, you're just continuing the Belichickian way.
Right.
The one thing we've gotten over the last couple of years is a quarterback and a court. You nailed the hell out of your first-round picks.
Yep.
You have to continue to do that and then supplement it and augment it with the free agency and the other picks.
And stop whiffing so badly on all your second-round picks, maybe.
Well, is that part of the inside joke? What do you think he meant by the inside joke? It was a weird line, I thought.
Not sure. I'm not sure, but the second-round picks have
How about some good players, unlike what you guys did last year?
Exactly.
That's what I feel like a Vrabel inside joke would be. It's ball busting.
Yeah.
That's how I feel like that inside joke went.